a concept that we need to even buy into?
For one, I don't have a definition of it. I'll give you something because I didn't create the term. And so that's why I want this. And the reason why I say that is we have to understand that every term has a meaning to its author, to its creator.
Right.
And it means nothing to the rest of us.
Right.
So it's just like if you read a poem. If you read a poem, the author of the poem may have meant something completely different than what you interpreted.
Of course.
So from what I am interpreting of a high value man, when I hear men say it, they're talking about a man who earns 6 or 7 figures.
Yeah.
That's the only qualifying factor that I hear men allude to when they say high value man.
Yeah.
But the men who are saying it on these podcasts and YouTube channels are not high value men. Because in my mind, a high value man is a man of character and integrity.
You know what is so mad? Listen, I did a video on this. If you go back in through my videos, I spoke about what a high value man actually is. And I spoke about this. I said that high value has got nothing to do. It has got something to do with finances, but the true measure of value is the interchange that we get. So if you look at the word definition of value, it's what you attribute as a fair exchange. So in that aspect, me making 6 figures doesn't necessarily mean a fair exchange. I understood what high value meant from the manosphere's perspective, because in some sense they're also right. These men are high value and very much sought after. If you make 6 figures, let's not lie, there are women and loads of women who want a man who makes 6 figures or more. Okay? Just like it's like saying men who are 6 foot. Let's not lie. Plenty of women, if they had the choice, would choose 6 foot. It's okay. I'm not vexed at it. You know what I mean? It is life. But they're high value because they are actually not in. They are actually scarce. They're not as readily available as the rest of us commoners who are making maybe not 6 figures, or those of us who are not 6 foot. You know what I'm saying? And so therefore they become, in some sense, high value in their eyes. I get that perspective, but I'm with Tony on this one. For me, high value is all to do with character, because the value on return is that if your family is healthy, your marriage is healthy, you don't just aid your own family, you aid a community and you aid generations after you. If you're just 6 figures, but you're doing what Nick Cannon's doing, spreading your seed everywhere, how high value can you be? Because first and foremost, you spread your seed so wide and far, you can't actually impact those children effectively. You can give them money, you can make them wealthy, but they're not going to be of value to society because they're losing out on you, and they're losing out on your instruction and your care emotionally. We know how children are when they don't grow up with father figures. Okay? There's nothing valuable about that at all. But we'll dive a little bit deeper. Listen, we're going to dive into this video. Make sure you like it, you share, you subscribe, you click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returning, for you know what it is, you got the minerals, you got the minerals. Listen, we're doing more videos like this because I believe that you guys liked the last one. I'm going to do a part 2 for the other video, but you know, it seems that you guys like these intellectual men and women as well. So I'm going to do more videos on those kind of things as well, because it's not everyday clickbait, not everyday topics that are just nonsense, you know what I mean? Like we react to. Let's react to some real stuff here as well. They're going to help us elevate as well and grow. Let's click on this.
Right.
So a high value man will not put a woman down.
I actually agree.
Will not demean and belittle a woman. A high value man will not curse at a woman. A high value man will not speak singleness for the rest of her life onto a woman. A high value man will not publicly argue with a woman. A high value man will check men and enlighten women to the ways of men, not just check women and then give.
I agree that 100%. You know, I'm not sure about that argue with women thing. I get what you're saying. I mean, I guess, no, argue with women, not your women, so that's different. But yeah, no. And to be honest, yeah, you probably shouldn't be arguing in public anyway. Argue when you're home. But no, what he's saying is absolutely right. If your constant browbeating is of women, I don't see how that's high value. If every time there's a problem, it's women that are the problem, I don't think you're a very good solution orientated person. I think you're only focusing on one half of the problem when it takes two to tango. It takes men and women to be accountable to make things go right. So if it's going wrong, it takes two also. There are two people involved and two parties involved, men and women. Of course, we can give all the stats and all this kind of stuff and say women are this, women and that. But when you have men doing this, when you have men also not being up to scratch as well, we need equal furrow. We need equal weight on both parties to be able to bring about a collective to come together. The reason why Kevin Samuels and them went so far is because men still want power. Men still want power from a misogynistic aspect. When I say that, meaning it's not naturally earned. It's dominated and taken. That's completely different. You earn your leadership. You earn your headship by showing your skill or your craft or your intellect or your ability to do something, master something. That's how you get put into a position of leadership oftentimes. But these men want to have their leadership by dominance. So that's why the issue always becomes about women rather than actually dealing with other men who are in the space who are messing up mad. I watched a video the other day actually with O'Shea Jackson. Really good video actually. He spoke about T.I. and said about how T.I. needs to take accountability for his son and how he's turned out. And lo and behold, the men in the chat were actually against O'Shea, saying, "Oh, but I'm a father figure. Children just do whatever they want to do." And he was like, "Listen, bro." He said, let me tell you something. It's T.I. needs to take accountability. But when I saw the comments, I said, wow, okay, I rate that.
Men are past. So the men who are saying high value are actually low value men. Just like men who say alpha males are actually beta males. Yeah. Because an alpha male will never call himself an alpha male.
Facts.
Because when you are alpha, that's going to be seen without you saying it.
Yeah.
You don't have to give yourself a title. You don't have to put in your bio beautiful woman if you're beautiful.
Yeah.
Facts.
Because that's subjective anyways, and it's relative. So I'll be handsome to one woman and ugly to another. So I'm not gonna call myself a high value alpha male. That's coming from a place of insecurity.
No, I definitely hear him on that, and that alpha one is a really important one as well. Too many men then be like, I'm an alpha male, and women do it too. I'm an alpha female. I'm like, I don't want to hear your voice. Listen when you tell me you're alpha, but listen, because alphas, and again, because alphas are a specific type, alphas don't actually have to say anything. They arrive, and we know. Women know those men that are very assertive because when you meet them, they're very assertive. Man, them know certain gal that are very assertive because when you meet them, they're very assertive. This whole, shenanigans is to encourage and empower those who don't have that power. And so men are trying to create this pyramid and hierarchy so they can have some level of power. Because remember, a lot of times these people want structure and structure gives them social hierarchies that they can actually dominate. And so if they produce this word high value and you buy into it, you start creating a social structure. Yeah, it's very interesting to see how it happens. But yeah, I'm with him. Alpha males never announce themselves. They don't need to do that. That's not a part of their ministry. A lot of guys who say that alpha, he's right, are betas. And they're doing that because, again, they want the spoils of being an alpha without being one. Because they realize the spoils of an alpha, okay, are far more greater than anything they could have got. So when they start saying they're an alpha, they start seeing that some of the responses that they get is totally different. When they start taking on some of the traits of an alpha, they see the results differ. And so they are attached to that power that comes with being, quote unquote, an alpha. Even though it's not genuine or authentic, it doesn't last, but they will try. Let's continue.
Kind of off topic then, but kind of in line with what you just said. What do you think about Kanye West calling himself a genius?
It comes from insecurity. It's he wants to be seen as a genius, but instead of just creating and letting the work speak for itself, he knows that we live in a society where people believe what they are shown.
Yeah, or what they're told.
So if a person appears genuine as a single relationship coach, you believe it because they appear genuine.
Yeah.
But the behind the scenes could be totally different. And so if a person says, I'm a genius, I'm a genius, I'm a genius, we start to look at their work and what they're doing as something special. Just by seeing how you present yourself, I would much rather wear your fashion than Kanye West fashion. When we really think about it, Kanye West fashion really makes no sense. Because what sense does it make to become rich to dress poor?
Yeah.
It really makes no sense.
Yeah.
But it is a representation of the insecurity. Because when you're rich, you get a lot of attention, you get a lot of paparazzi. So you want to wear clothes with holes in it that looks like you're homeless, because you're actually saying, I want to run from this light. I want to run from this fame. And I want to look the opposite of what I've become. And it just comes from, so think about this. When Kanye was broke, he dressed rich.
Yes.
Because he wanted to be the opposite of what he was. But when he became rich, he dressed poor. Because he wanted to become the opposite of what he is. And so we oftentimes want to be something that we're not.
Wow.
So when
I'm not even mad at it, you know. I still think he's a genius. I ain't gonna lie to you. I still think he's a genius. But I definitely hear him. Especially on the Kanye clothes. It's so interesting for me to see some of the clothes that he has developed, and you think to yourself, but I guess because the fascination, I think let me add a little something to this. The fascination with the rich looking at the poor is interesting, because white people do the exact same to black people. The fascination of something that's not representative of you is always intriguing. So the rich will always be fascinated with the poor because they are a gimmick and they are a life that they don't ever live. And so you can take their life and live it momentarily and monetize it, because that's what human beings do. On this earth, you noticed, that's what human beings do, because we see it also, like I said, with white folk, who do it with black folk, where they take parts of our culture and parts of our history and they monetize it. They monetize it, right? And they make it commercial and they make it enticing when it's got some deep roots behind it, because what humans are used to doing is exploiting. Okay, we're used to that. And we love the aspect of being able to be in something short term but not experience all of its downsides that come with it. That's human nature, to be honest, right? You want to be rich and be famous whenever you want to be famous, but don't want to be famous all the time. You know, you want to be able to look poor, make it look trendy, because in some sense of form, it gives you some form of, I can live a life of a poor person in terms of clothing, but I don't have to live their life. It's about taking the best parts of taking the best parts out of something and dumping the parts that don't suit you. That's what we do as human beings. But I think Kanye is a genius. He's a genius in terms of fashion. He's a genius in terms of, music. But he's right. Every time you got to mention you're a genius, how genius can you really be? The Bible says, let men praise you. That's what Kanye is missing. He praises himself. Let men praise you. You understand?
I wasn't a millionaire, I would boast and brag that I was a millionaire when I get in an argument with a white man at the car dealership. But when I became a millionaire, I stopped having to say I'm a millionaire.
Right.
Because I'm okay with it. And so that's really what that is. We're speaking things over ourselves that we want to be, or that we want people to believe. But when you actually think about it, when you listen to like lyrics, Kendrick Lamar, or even Royce 5'9", or anybody, lyrics are way better than Kanye West lyrics that he's doing right now. And so it's like, what's genius about that? And when you look at it, and not to knock Kanye, because he's very successful and he's very accomplished and he's really talented, but no more genius came in with the pandering, the real pandering, and with the watered down messaging. It was, what happened is like they stood on my shoulders. Meaning they saw what I was doing and they saw the success, but then they said, oh, well, he country. Oh, he used ghetto slang sometimes. Oh, he wear t-shirts instead of blazers. Oh, he doesn't curse, so he's not as relatable. I'm a curse. And so they looked at my flaws and they filled those voids and then took the whole blueprint, everything that I was doing that was working, and did the other things that I don't do or that I'm unwilling to do.
Right.
And that's what shoots somebody up, because we're in a society that praises ignorance over intellect, that praises pandering over truth.
Yeah.
And so that's what we have going on. And that's why I don't do interviews.
I know. That's why I was surprised.
But I realize I have to do them now because the devil too loud. And he loud in people who represent him boldly and blatantly. And then he's also loud in people who are pretending to be spiritual and of God. And they're going to lead people to destruction.
I do feel like you have that element of, we know that you're not compromising, you're not pandering as much as people from the outside.
Ooh, Tony be hitting some marks up in here. I just had to sit and listen. I ain't gonna lie to you, it was deep. But he's speaking some real truth. There are people that will take your formats and be angry at you. I mean, I've experienced it myself. Take your formats that be angry at you, you know, and just take it to come run away with it. And that happens. That's business. I'll be honest with you, I realize that's business. That's not even just demonic, it's just business. People in business are sharky like that. And if you're not sharp, people will take advantage. If you're not sharp, people will take your wins as their own. So you've got to just be sharp and be on point and be on game. And that's what God allows us to do. He allows us to be on point and on game, and to see some of the flaws and be able to, you know, also tie up some loose ends where maybe potentially, you know, someone else was able to take your idea and run with it. And sometimes you need to execute your idea in general. Sometimes you don't even execute your idea very well. Someone else executes it better than you. But yeah, no, this is interesting to hear Tony Gaskin's viewpoint on high value male. I think he went on a bit longer than I needed to, but definitely was an interesting conversation to hear him speak on that. So anyway, listen, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification for uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon. Much love.